Trump versus the establishment. I'm Jason Chaffetz in tonight for Sean. Just 24 hours ago, many in the mainstream media were openly mocking President Trump for losses in the stock market and ridiculing him for not visiting our troops during the Christmas season. Once again, the destroy Trump press looks a bit foolish. Today, the stock market bounced back with a record single-day point gain. And President Trump, along with the First Lady Melania Trump, spent the day with our troops after a surprise visit to Iraq, where he shared his gratitude for all of America's brave servicemen and women. Watch this.
Thank you and every service member throughout this region for the near elimination of the ISIS territorial caliphate in Iraq and in Syria. 2 years ago, when I became president, they were a very dominant group. They were very dominant. Today, they're not so dominant anymore.
On his way back from Iraq, President Trump visited U.S. soldiers in Germany. We'll keep you updated on his surprise trip throughout the show. But first, joining us now with reaction, the author of Why We Fight, Fox News national security strategist Sebastian Gorka, former press secretary for Vice President Pence and member of the Trump 2020 Advisory Board, Mark Lauder. And from the Wall Street Journal, one of my personal favorites, Kimberly Strassel. Thank you, all three of you, for joining us on this beautiful night in this great holiday season. I want to start with Dr. Gorka here. The president is out there. I think one of the great strengths of the president has been his foreign policy, but there have been some moves. What's the signal and the message that the president is trying to portray out there to the world?
Well, Merry Christmas, Jason. It's a very simple one. It is the antithesis of the previous 8 years under the Obama White House. Remember, under that administration, we had concepts such as leading from behind, which is, of course, an oxymoron, and strategic patience, allowing others to take the initiative, built into the foreign policy of the United States. Basically, America withdrew from the world and allowed others like Putin, like ISIS, like China, like Iran, to take the initiative and destabilize the globe. What you saw today, I spoke with the White House yesterday as the president was on his way to Iraq. What you see is an expression of American leadership reasserted. Whether it's saying in Syria, look, we've done what we came to do, the caliphate is destroyed, now others have to pick up the load, or whether it is spending your Christmas as commander-in-chief with the First Lady, the first time ever a First Lady, in my understanding, has visited Iraq since 9/11, taking your Christmas celebration and taking it to the troops. And that amazing moment that Sarah Huckabee Sanders shared with us when one of our servicemen said to the president, I came back into the armed services because of you, Mr. President. And his response was what? I am here now in Iraq because of you. That's the Make America Great Again way, and that's Donald Trump.
Now, Mark, what is that? Tell us about the perspective from the international community. We are the world's preeminent superpower. So what is the message that President Trump is putting out there by being on the ground himself in Iraq?
Well, I think it sends a strong message that the president has the backs of our soldiers and our airmen and our sailors, no matter where they're stationed in the world. And he showed that. He demonstrated that. And this is a president who's also stood with them by rebuilding our military. And so much emphasis has been placed today on the launch of the hypersonic missile over in Russia. This is a president now who saw our military decimated under the Obama administration. He stood up. He's rebuilding our military. He is putting us in a position where we can defend ourselves and our allies around the world, and our enemies know it.
Hey, Kim, there's been a lot of discussion, certainly over the last week with the moves in Syria and whatnot, but isn't this also about Iran? I mean, the proximity cannot get lost. We hear almost nothing being mentioned about Iran and the message that this might send to the Iranians and the Europeans and others about our positioning on Iran. How do you read into that?
Well, that's why this was so important, because coming on the back of the announcements about Syria and Afghanistan, the worry was, of course, that the message that was being sent to Iran was that we were not certain about our commitment in key areas in that region. And by going there, by making it clear we're not withdrawing from Iraq, we're not stopping the fight against ISIS, and we're not ceding the territory and the regional control to Iran, that is a good message for the president to have sent. But can I just add something, Jason?
Sure.
I think it would be worthwhile, there's all this focus right now on what this means and the president's rough week, and the press has all been struggling and focusing on that. This is just a straightforward story of a president going over to visit the troops, saying hello, which is a customary thing to do, and we should be celebrating it for that in and of itself.
So, Mark, do you think we're going to see a lot of corrections on the front pages of the newspapers and talk shows across the country? Is that going to happen?
No, absolutely not. They're already picking apart every word that he said. And to Kim's point, the only video and the only audio we really need to hear are those troops who are chanting USA, USA when the president and first lady walked in there. They love their commander-in-chief in Donald Trump.
You know, Dr. Gorka, one of the, I think, the important messages to the troops is that we as Americans, all of us Americans, no matter your political stripes, that we stand behind the troops. Was this just a photo op? I mean, the criticism is, hey, Donald Trump didn't go there, and then as soon as he goes there, they say, oh, it's just for a photo op. What does this mean, and what is the message that President Trump is saying to the men and women and their families who put their lives in line for our United States military and for this country?
Jason, it has nothing to do with the photo opportunity. It was leaked, so now I can discuss it. In the second month of the administration, we had 18 future Green Berets visiting the EEOB, the Eisenhower building next to the White House. After their visit to the NSC, I took them to meet the president. The president took time out of his schedule to meet these young officers. Each one was photographed next to the president at the Resolute desk, not because those photographs can be used in public, because these are our cutting-edge Army Special Forces guys. Those photographs never see the light of day, but he wanted to give something to them, to give back, to show them that he so respects anyone that wears the cloth of the Republic or law enforcement. I've seen it again and again and again. The first thing the president does when he gets off Air Force One, when there are no cameras there, at that base he gets off and he goes down and he shakes the hand of every police outrider to show his respect. This is a man who loves those people, and it makes such a change after the Obama years.
No, it does. And the president is on the ground as we speak at the Ramstein Air Force Base there in Germany. It's the middle of the night, but he's there visiting with troops. You know, those Air Force bases are working 24/7, and the president is there on the ground as we speak. Kim, I also want to talk, though, about the other big news that happened today, which was the stock market, a 1,000-point gain, which is not a typical day. There has been some volatility on the market. How do you read into that? What are the swings attributed to, and where should investors look, and where are they going?
The first thing is it was good news that the White House came out today and made clear that the Fed chief, Jerome Powell, his job was secure. Okay, because that was some of the uncertainty that we were seeing out there. But look, I think there comes a point at which the market just steps back, and maybe that's what we saw today, and realize that despite all the talk about the uncertainty that is out there on China and trade deals, the shutdown, etc., that the fundamentals of the economy remain really strong, and we're seeing that come in. Really robust holiday sales. We're going to have GDP come in at a very strong number this year. Unemployment remains low. All of these things that are key indicators of economic strength and manufacturing and other areas, they really are looking good. And hopefully that's what you're seeing today, is a bit of a correction with regards to the market. And the market's not an indicator of the economy, obviously, but it takes its cue from economic signals. And hopefully this is a return to a little bit of rationality about the future and the prospects for U.S. growth.
Now, Mark, one of the things the president also said while he was in Iraq is that he plans to visit the southern border. What would you like to see the president do? And how does this play into the shutdown fight and discussions that we have going on almost an hourly basis right now?
I want to see him highlight the great work that Customs and Border Patrol does every day, even during the shutdown, to keep out illegal immigration, stop gang members and drugs from flowing into our country, and show the rest of the world what we who know the statistics know. Walls work. and it's easy to demonstrate that through real-life examples. And so I think the president will highlight that, and it will set the stage for not only the negotiations with Speaker Pelosi, but it will set the stage for a very strong State of the Union speech that I can almost guarantee you will have a very heavy focus on immigration reform, broad-based immigration reform, and securing our borders.
Yeah, when the president gets an hour or two to address the nation in that State of the Union affair, and he gets to talk in front of members of Congress. I've been there in the audience to listen 8 times to Barack Obama try to tell me the way the world was. It was a fascinating thing. But Dr. Gorka, the president's going down to the southern border. What's the message you would like to see the president portray?
Well, Mark's right. In addition to recognizing the incredible work of CBP and ICE and everybody that wears the uniform and protects us at the border, there's one very simple message. The wall will be built, and the border is a national security issue, Jason. You know as well as anybody else. This isn't about, illegals who are turned into a voting base for the Democrats. This is about MS-13. It's about drug trafficking. It's about women who are raped as they come across the border, minors being handed into the hands of coyotes. This is a national security issue, and that is how the president is going to represent it to all of America, whether Chuck Schumer or Nancy likes it or not.
No, look, I think you're absolutely right, and stay tuned with us later in the show. We're going to talk some more about that in depth, but thank you very much during this holiday season for joining us here tonight. We do appreciate it.
The president himself able to get the video out where the White House pool is not. We'll put up some video from his Twitter account. The tweet said, First Lady Melania and I were honored to visit our incredible troops at Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq. God bless the USA. Check with the control room here. Is there any sound on this as we watch the president walk around? Just music of the president here shaking hands. You can see him in one of the dining halls that is still decorated there for Christmas. Continue with Matt Swift. God bless the USA, I think, is what's playing in the video. Unclear if that was added later or if that was playing as the president was there. We're told that video, the audio at least, was added later. And there's a Roll Tide University of Alabama flag that the president is posing with. We wonder if that's a message with who the president is supporting in the upcoming collegiate championships. At least those are the teams the troops are supporting. The president receiving a briefing, and this is some video of what it appears to be one of the motorcades on the ground coming from the White House.